So today we're going to be preparing the greenhouse for winter, unfortunately. So in the UK, the winter is a little bit cold and quite damp, so it's just not what the succulents like. So we need to prepare this lovely greenhouse and these lovely succulents so they can survive through the winter season. I'll also be sharing some tips and tricks that I use just to make sure they are ready for the winter. Things such as tidying up old dead leaves, checking for any bugs and treating them as well. And then what I do to prepare the greenhouse, so with regards to the temperature, to make sure they don't get too cold, and also with humidity to make sure they don't get too moist in here, because that can lead to fungus. So yeah, stay tuned and I'll share some tips with you shortly. So firstly, we're going to want to remove any old dead leaves from the bottom of the plants in your collection. These leaves down here are just old ones which the plant has used to either create some new roots, or maybe this little pup which has treated us too. So yeah, these leaves, if left on, can attract some pests and bugs and things, so it's worth taking the time just to get rid of these. And also, if there are any pups under here, it'll give them a little bit more light and a little bit more room to grow. So yeah, it's a really good opportunity to have a little bit of a health check on your plants. When you've got the dead leaves, just make sure there's no bugs on them, like the little mealy bugs. If there's any leaves which are looking a little bit shriveled, I would leave them on because the plant might be using them for energy at the moment. There is actually another pup coming right in there, so this one's been busy. I'm just checking for mealies as well, just to see if there's anything in here, but it does look good. I've just removed the leaves from this plant, and I've noticed there were a couple of mealies just down the very bottom there. So what I'm going to do is treat this one now with spot on treatment. I have done a video on this, so check that out if you need any help. But basically I just use this alcohol spray and spray the mealies and the full plant, really, just in case they've laid any eggs or anything on there. So just soak the plant and the soil and the stem, and that will kill the mealies instantly. And your plant, it doesn't matter if it gets soaked like this, it will dry off and it'll be fine. So twice a year I treat my collection with this bug clear treatment. It goes into the water, so it's quite easy to do. It's just 60 ml of this mixed with a litre of water. I like to try and water mine from the bottom where possible, so I've got this tray here and I'm just going to start popping on all the succulents that need some water. I have got a watering video with tips on when they need water, so check that one out and that will help you as well. But yeah, anything that I want water today, I'm going to make sure the bug treatment is included, and that will hopefully prevent any pests and anything getting into the greenhouse over winter. So with this treatment you need to mix 60 ml with a litre of water, but weirdly the cap isn't big enough for 60, so let's do 2 lots of 30. So that's that in the watering can, and then what I will do is just pour that into this tray and let them soak it up from the bottom. And then I leave the succulents outside on the trays for a couple of hours so they can soak up all that water and all the treatment. And once finished, I pop them back into the greenhouse. Yeah, there's quite a few to do, so this is going to take me a little while. So far I have done this top shelf and I have tucked them all neatly together so they are not taking up too much room. I'm just trying to get everything I can on the top shelf, so yeah, they're nice and cozy in there. And then you can see where I've got all the gaps now of where they were, what needs to be done still. These ones are done also, and these lot aren't. So yeah, we're getting there. So due to the temperature drop in the winter season in the UK, I have to use a fan, or a fan heater to heat the greenhouse. So I use something that's quite inexpensive really. This is the little fan heater that I use. I have it plugged into a really handy device which reads what the temperature is in the greenhouse, and then this comes on if it drops below a certain temperature. So last year I think I had it set at like 4 degrees. So once it hits 4, this kicks in and takes it up to around about 7 or 8. So nothing major, but it just keeps that chill off. If you have any frost, if you know, it freezes at night, you don't want the frost to get into the greenhouse. Obviously, I think I've mentioned before in another video, but you don't want to water succulents through the winter season. If you have a climate like the UK, they can't cope with the frost on the leaves because their leaves retain a lot of moisture. If their leaves were to freeze, the water would just burst, and that's obviously what causes a lot of deaths over the winter time. So yeah, I use this little heater, and that just keeps the frost at bay and keeps them safe, so it's really worth doing. Obviously, if you don't have electric in the greenhouse, that is an issue, but there's so many different workways for it. You can get some, is it horticultural fleece? That works really well. You can cover your succulents in that, and that will keep obviously the frost off as well. You can use things such as bubble wrap, and just different kind of materials really to cover them completely. But I do like to come in here in the winter and look at them and just check they're okay and enjoy them. So it's, you know, I don't want it to be a 6-month hobby. I want it to be something I can look at all year round. So yeah, I don't want to cover mine up. I want to keep them out in the open. So that's why I choose to heat the greenhouse. If this isn't an option for you with regards to electrics in your greenhouse, then of course you can go for something like the bubble wrap or the fleece to keep them nice and warm over the winter period. So this is the device I use to check what the temperature is. I'm not sure why it's flashing on screen, obviously something technical that's going on with the video, but as you can see, it's reading 21.4 at the moment, and this is just saying that when it gets to 35, the fan will come on. Obviously this is still set up for the for the summer season. So yes, that's what this is. It's brilliant, and you can then do the same with a cool mode. So you can then put the fan plugged into this plug, and then once it reaches a certain temperature, which I will have mine around 3, the fan heater will be plugged in here, and that will then come on when the greenhouse goes below that temperature that I've set this to. So this really is amazing. It saves me faffing around and running outside and worrying about it. It just looks after itself, which is brilliant. And that up the back there is the little probe that measures the temperature. There it is. So yeah, that's what reads what temperature is in the greenhouse, and then I suppose controls what happens in here, which is, yeah, so handy. So as you can see, it's really messy in here. I've got things under this potting table which I need to sort out. I need to clear up all these leaves and find a home for these pots. This is my soil, this is some of my grit that I use, and yeah, we've got some weeds in here as well, so I need to have a really good tidy up. So I'm going to get my trusty little hoover and do that now. So that's the hoovering done, and a little bit of a tidy up under there. Still need to do the weeding. Yeah, it just looks a lot better already. I need to find somewhere probably for that litter, gravel. Yeah, so looks a little bit better, and I've just hoovered some of the shelves as well. But yeah, my favourite shelf is definitely up here. Beautiful. And there's another section done and put back into their homes for the winter. So yeah, I'm getting there. So the other piece of equipment I always need for winter is a dehumidifier. Like I said, it gets really humid and there's a lot of moisture in the air in winter time. So I do have this little gadget which tells me obviously what the temperature is and what the humidity is. And if that hits 80, 85, I do put the dehumidifier on for like an hour or so. So I usually do that twice a day, like once in the morning, once in the evening, just to get rid of that bit of humidity. If there is too much moisture in the air, that can cause fungus on the plants. I did have a little bit of that last year when I wasn't quite as on top of the dehumidifier, so it's definitely lesson learned. So the dehumidifier I have, I'm able to set on a timer, which is really good. I just put it on for an hour, like I say, in the morning, and then in the evening if needed. It depends on what the weather's like that day. If there's quite a lot of rain, then obviously it's going to be needed more than quite a nice sunny dry day. So yeah, I just have to keep an eye on how it is and then turn it on accordingly, but that makes such a difference. I used to keep succulents actually in my garage with some grow lights, and when I did that I had the same issues because obviously through the garage door you get humidity, and I didn't even know about it. So here it definitely makes a big difference to the plants. So that's another step I would do for winter. So although I've been talking negatively about winter, there are some really positive points to it. The change of colour in succulents is crazy. So they can be very green in the summer, like these ones here. They've had a lot of water, they've had some really good light, and they're just standard green colour. But in the winter, because of the stress levels of the temperatures dropping, the light levels dropping, they can become really vibrant. So this one will probably become really pink. This one, I'm not too sure if this one will stress to a different colour, but yeah, they can change quite dramatically. I had one year which was just pure green and went to a pure pinky red, and it was so pretty. So it's always nice to come and have a look in the winter to see them change, really. And that's another reason why I love them. So I'll just insert a clip here of one of the succulents I've kept outside. It's not had a lot of soil. It's been in quite a gritty mixture and in a very shallow pot where it probably needs a little bit more soil to it, and it's had a lot of sunlight recently, and it's really red and really colourful. So stressing the plants out, although it's not that good for them, does produce some really nice colours. So it happens without meaning to. So if the weather's too hot, too cold, not enough water, too much water I wouldn't actually say does that, but yeah, it's crazy how different they can look from one season to the other. Another big tip I would say for winter is just make sure you do have enough airflow through the greenhouse. So I've mentioned fungus from moisture, but that is also from lack of airflow. So I have removed my fan, which I have running in the summer, but that's because I have vented windows and a door in the greenhouse, so they can get some nice air coming through here on the days where it's not so cold. So obviously if it is freezing and the heater's on, I'm not going to have the door open, but I do have the dehumidifier running, which is going to circulate the air and get rid of that moisture. So yeah, just make sure if you're keeping your succulents in the greenhouse in the winter, you've got some adequate airflow through the greenhouse. I do also keep some of my collection outside, and I'll need to move these in to the greenhouse probably in the next month or so. As it gets colder and more wet, they won't survive out here. So yeah, I've got a lot of room to get all these in, as well as the ones on my wall. And I also have some in pots over here. So yeah, I've got a lot to make room for. But yeah, they love it outside, so I do like to keep them outside as well as in the greenhouse. So I really hope that helps you have some success through the winter season. It is tough, and sometimes you do just lose succulents for no reason. That can happen all year round. It's not always something you've done wrong. It's just sometimes they give up. They're a living thing. So yes, they don't always do as they're told. If there's anything you found useful in today's video, please do give it a like and let me know what you found useful. Leave me a comment and I'd love to know, and keep an eye out for future videos coming weekly as well. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.